good morning, Australia. I would say Vietnam, but I made that joke last week or the week before. And today it's Australia for Anxiosi. Happy Australia Day. I don't know, you can't stay because you have to wave flags at 8:30 in the morning. That's a bit sad. Not the waving flags, but doing it at 8:30 in the morning.
Whoops.
What I want to know is, Anxious Aussie, is the Australian flag, like the English cross of St. George, a hate symbol? Because something symbolizing a what was it? Late Roman, Turkish gentleman, Anatolian gentleman, is obviously white supremacy, not. And we have silence because I made no sense. That's okay. Sorry, folks.
Yeah, that didn't really make a lot of sense.
I was trying to say, you know, because the Cross of St. George is a celebration of St. George, who was from Anatolia, which is modern-day Turkey, at about the late Roman era. And therefore, obviously, not a white person in the strictest sense of the term, and therefore, obviously, white supremacy.
But wait a second. I mean, he was from what was then known the Byzantium Empire, wasn't he?
Yeah, from what is Anatolia, which is now
Which
part
was
of Turkey.
Greek. Which was Greek.
Yes, it was Greek, and the Greeks aren't white. Everyone knows that, if you're a white supremacist.
So, I mean, the whole idea that it's part of what we now call Turkey, yeah, that's all good and well, but the people...
I didn't say that. I said we know the Greeks aren't white. Every white supremacist knows that.
Yeah, but that's not the point I was trying to make. Never mind.
No, but that is the point. The point is that someone from that part of the world is obviously a white supremacist. Sarcasm dialed up to 1,000.
And I thought the St. George Cross isn't the white one the St. George Cross?
The white one, yes, white with a red cross on it, white background with the red cross.
No, because that is, I mean, yeah, it's still the St. George Cross, but that was part of the English. No, not the English, the French army.
Yeah, well, it was the Knights Templar.
Well, yeah, that too. But the French army.
It's also the Georgian flag, a variant of the what's the one? Sardinian flag.
Sardinia, yeah.
Yeah, as I say, all really white supremacist.
It's the French king that used that flag to go into the
Crusades.
Yeah, I think it's the Second Crusade, but I can't be mistaken on that one. And the English king had a red flag with a white cross.
Well, you see, the king had the royal arms, and even today, the English and British flags are nothing to do with the royal arms of Britain or the British monarchy. In fact, it was noted that for next Friday, which is Brexit Day, Buckingham Palace have agreed to fly the Union flag because they never fly the Union flag. They fly the royal flag.
But only when the Queen's at home. If the Queen
No, it's at half-mast when she's not at home.
Since when?
Years.
Oh.
But the point being is that the palace have made an announcement that on the 31st of January, they will fly the Union flag.
Well, yeah, but the royal flag is well, a hodgepodge.
Well, it's the coats of arms of half of France.
Well, except for the harp.
Yeah, well, you have to be nice to the what do you call them?
The whom?
Irish.
I mean, who? Is the harp for the Irish?
Yeah, of course, the hearts for Ireland.
Oh, right.
Hearts for Ireland?
And then they got a bunch of lions. It's kind of funny because your red standing lion is the mirror opposite of the Dutch lion.
No,
Because they were related back then.
Yeah, well, okay. So it's not a lion; it's a leopard.
It is.
Yes, it's a leopard.
Leopard?
The one the three lions are actually three leopards because people have.
Now, I'm not talking about the three ones. I'm talking about the one that's standing.
Oh, sorry, the one. Well, okay, so
that is the lion.
Yeah, I was thinking more of the flag. Seeing as we were talking about flags.
Yeah, well, that's okay. The Royal British flag,
The standard.
three lines, three golden lions in red. Under it, a harp. Next to the harp, three golden lions in red. Above it, one golden.
Yeah, that's the Scottish one. That's the Scottish one.
What do you mean? That's the Scottish one.
That's the Scottish symbol. The
one lion, you mean?
The one lion stood up. There's a term for it.
Okay.
Is a Scottish one.
Okay. Yeah, it's kind of like the Dutch lion, except the other way around.
No, but that's the Scottish. That's the Scottish one. When I was young, I used to go to England-Scotland football matches. The Scottish fans all waved that banner.
All right. This I'm sorry, I'm a bit of air. Hi there, Ludicrous, by the way.
See, what you'll probably find is that's the Stuart banner, and when the Stuarts merged and took over the British monarchy, they brought their banner with
them. So, but the British Royal Standards is from left to right. The three lions, the Scottish lion, the Welsh harp.
No, the Irish harp.
Yeah, same thing.
No, it's not, because you will notice on the Union flag as well, we ignore the Welsh. They haven't been included.
Indeed.
You see, when you look at the Union flag, you've got the Saltaire, which is the blue background, white diagonal cross of St. Andrew, with the cross of St. George as a strip. So you've got the little white around the red. Okay?
Yeah.
The diagonals were added when Ireland joined the Union. So they represent Ireland.
Okay.
On the Union flag. There is no inclusion. There's no dragon, for instance. You might notice this. The Welsh have a very distinct dragon on their flag. You don't see it on the Union flag because the English conquered the Welsh. Whereas we entered unions with Scotland and then Ireland. And if you're confused, you're supposed to be, because it's confusing.
It's British after all.
Well, we were the European Union before the European Union could even be a thing.
Not really. Switzerland was first.
No, but you weren't the European Union either. You were before the European Union was a thing.
Yes, that's what I said. We were before the United Kingdom.
Yeah, fine. But I
We were a
didn't...
federation before the UK.
No, but that doesn't negate my point that we were a union before the European Union was a thing. Different nations, and we are, and you're different because you're still one country. We're not. We are 4 countries.
Then why do the Scottish need a referendum to become independent?
Because of the Act of Union of 1707. They have to repeal it.
We're 8 countries. And Germany is, I can't remember how
No,
many.
but they're not. You're still one country. But we are not. I have 2 national identities. I am English and I am British, and they are distinct.
Right, okay.
And Germany is a republic, not a federation. They are not independent, even though they like to be.
Well, fair enough.
Anyway,
Yeah, he's talking to the rabbits.
let's not quibble.
Do they answer, Modwin?
They hardly ever do. They lay down and want to get petted.
As long as they don't leap and tear at your throat, that's fine.
Yes, these are rather docile rabbits. We've got docile rabbits. They're not that dangerous.
And even then, it's just a flesh wound.
Yeah, but if that flesh wound is from your shoulders up, then that's a
Oh,
problem.
it wasn't. The head came clean off. We've seen the footage in the documentary called Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
Yeah, that was one scary rabbit.
Yes. Thank God they have the royal hand grenade.
Yeah, but then they had to count right. And
Wasn't it a holy hand grenade?
Yeah, the holy hand grenade.
You said royal hand grenade.
Oh, I meant
the Holy of Antioch.
I'm sorry if I did. I misspoke. I meant holy hand grenade. I've got royalty on the brain, which is very annoying for Republicans such as myself.
As I suspected, every one of us is sick at the moment.
Except
One way
me.
or the other.
But, oh, well, I'm always sick, but not in that way.
Yeah, Modwin is sick, and I'm too. Quod era demonstratum.
Yes, but anyway. So I don't need a holy hand grenade of Antioch, which is a good thing because I like my rabbits. And they seem to be docile.
Yes. Okay, so the theme of tonight, in honour of all the fuss made about the 22 convention, though I had this idea before I'd even heard of it, is a stream to tell feminists how they can make feminism great.
Hi there, Renovatio.
I don't know what's up.
And when I say great, I know it says great again because that's the meme, but it never was great, and therefore that's poetic license. Okay, so I start off with some serious-ish points, which you can probably read for yourself, but I'm going to read them anyway.
They can if you zoom in a little.
Sorry?
They can read it if you zoom in a little.
It's full screen.
Yeah, they should be able to see it.
But yeah, I can do that.
Magnification in the tower.
No,
Tower,
I've magnified it, which you should see in
that's
the.
what I meant.
No, I know it's okay. I'm not going to nitpick your language. I nitpick Modway's language. That's my job. Okay, right. 1. Stop the hypocrisy. Part 1. Feminists have simultaneously denied men the right any say about women for over 40 years, and that is my lived experience. Yet constantly tell men what to do, how to be, or simply how bad they are for being what they are. Which is kind of the point of this. Oh, that was weird. Anyway, 2. Stop the lying. Everything in the ideology of feminism is based on lies, either outright misrepresentations or lies of omission, due to only giving a partial description. I didn't know about that one, Richard, but you're more than welcome to come on and tell us all about it. 3. Be honest. Living embodiment of that. The most privileged people in the history of the world are complaining constantly about how oppressed they are. And as one complaint after another is fixed, they find an ever more trivial issue to add. Which brings me to stop the hypocrisy. 2. After complaining about sexist terminology for decades, any job ending with the suffix man, for instance, feminists have recently taken to making up highly sexist terms for behaviour common to both sexes. Just watch Big Red's performance for a performance dominated by her woman-interrupting and woman-splaining. 5. Stop the women worsting. Few issues are genuinely single-sex issues. Address the issues, not how women always have it worse. Stop the hypocrisy. 3. There are many appalling habits of typical feminists, yet the moment anyone engages in the same behaviour towards you, you scream and screech like mad. 7. Admit the tyranny of feminism's past. How the suffragettes were terrorists and feminists have a long history of going straight to violence and other means of intimidation in order to silence critics or even rivals. Bless you. What they did in the UK to Erin Pitsey being the perfect example. 8. Stop claiming equivalence with women. In most Western countries, the majority of women, let alone people, reject the label of feminism. 9. Stop claiming to be for equality, let alone synonymous with the desire for equality. I am a lifelong anti-feminist because I believe in equality. I first heard the statement, women cannot be sexist, in the early 1980s. No statement could be more sexist or antithetical to equality. Feminists are constantly pushing narratives, campaigning for laws, and spreading a message of inherent inequality. I'll pause there. Any response so far?
No.
Not yet.
Okay. This is an interlude. I'll get back to the list in a minute. There are many terrible things about feminism. Apart from the above, I lay directly at the feet of feminism. Nearly 50 years of failing to make progress on domestic violence. When she created... Sorry?
50 years?
Yes.
You
How
tried
about
50
200?
years to commit domestic violence and
No. I will explain.
Oh, okay.
When she created the world's first domestic violence shelter in about 1971, so that's nearly 50 years ago, Erin Pitsey knew from her personal experience of having a violent mother but not a violent father that women could be just as violent as men. That the root cause of domestic violence and other terrible crimes against the person, such as rape, is intergenerational learned behaviour. That the only way to fix the problem is to identify the young victims and help them and help break the cycle. Instead, feminists have concocted, without any evidence, the hateful lie that not only is domestic violence gendered, but that it is all because and only because men hate women. But the evidence is in. Women are just as violent as men, and the biggest predictor for a woman being badly hurt by domestic violence is her initiating the violence. In fact, approximately 70% of reciprocal domestic violence, which is itself the majority, is initiated by the woman. And we know that lesbian relationships are proportionally the most violent of all types of pairing. By denying these facts and pushing a false and hateful narrative, feminists have prevented acknowledgement of the actual nature of this important issue, let alone progress towards providing remedies. So the 50 years derives from 1971, when Erin Pitsey started the first women's shelter and tried to speak up about the intergenerational learned behaviour nature of it. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
This is just one indicator that feminism does not care about women. So not only is feminism deeply misandrist, it is deeply misogynistic. Which brings me back to the list. 10. Stop the misandry and the misogyny while you are at it. If you want to stop women being hurt in domestic violence, rape, and other violent crimes, a major improvement can only be made when you acknowledge that women contribute significantly to making the men who do such things the way they are. 12. Most importantly, teach girls not to hit. Stop saying it is always wrong for a man to hit a woman. Self-defense is no offense. Retaliation, so long as done with restraint, is not only reasonable, it is actually the best way to stop a man who finally snaps from hurting a woman so badly. 14. Stop telling women what to do. It isn't only men who you boss about. Not all women want to do things feminism approves with. Get over it. 15. Stop invading men's spaces. You want female-only spaces? Then you have to accept male-only ones. 16. Stop corrupting and changing things created by men. If you want something to be different, make your own. Leave us be. 17. I'm saying see the meme on the left. I've displayed this as a full screen, but I'll bring it up as soon as I've said this. See the meme on the left. Educate yourself and stop talking out of your arses. And we're back to the meme. As I say, it's the one on the left.
Yeah.
Some good points, though.
Well, it's easy, isn't it? It's fish in a barrel. But
yeah, but there's point 18. If
Point
they start
18?
point 18. If they start quoting sciences, papers, and so on, they should ensure that these sciences and papers actually state what they were quoting of.
Well, this is the part where you guys get to join in. And 18 well, I don't know if I can record them if you like, though I don't know what use it would be. But yes, it's this is where we all get to have a go at things we would like feminism to change to make it slightly less odious.
Yeah, I can't think of anything feminism should change to make it less odious, to be honest.
Well, I was going to say, and this is my bad, because I meant to start just by saying 1, stop. But that's a very short list.
I mean, let's be honest. Feminists still believe 99% of the nonsense they spew forth. I mean, I had a conversation not too long ago with a person on Minds, and I assume she's about my age, and she's adamant that when she was a young girl, she was being stopped from going to school, and I'm like, that's bullshit.
What, in Netherlands?
No, she's in America.
In America, girls were stopped from going to school.
Yes.
North, South, Central?
Yeah, I have no idea.
Maybe she was a Muslim.
Now that
She had a
would,
disease.
but that would have made sense. But no. No,
What
and
about the measles?
adamant, oh no, women couldn't go to school. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure that well before either one of us were born,
the first colleges were the middle of the 19th century.
Sorry?
The first women-only colleges were the middle of the 19th century.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, that too. But I mean, let's be honest. We have a woman. There's only a handful of people who have 2 Nobel Prizes, and one of them is a woman.
Mm-hmm.
So 25% of all people that have.
But she was a Polish woman living in Europe, and therefore not oppressed by the evil Americans.
Yeah,
No.
gender studies don't.
25% of all people that won 2 Nobel Prizes are women.
Yeah, I know.
But gender studies don't win Nobel Prizes. Gender studies are no real science. That's why.
Yeah, there is that.
And if women don't go into STEM, they don't win Nobel Prizes. Case closed.
Well, technically, there are 5 Nobel Prizes, and one of them is literature. So you don't even have to do any proper work to get a Nobel Prize. You can just make shit
No,
up.
but for literally, you have to write something good.
Yeah, I know, but it's still making shit up. It doesn't need studying.
Yeah, but the text needs to be good.
Yeah, you need to know how to write.
To be liked by people.
Yeah, you need to know how to write and etc. But the point being is you don't have to go into STEM to get a Nobel Prize. That is literature. Is my point. Or peace. You can literally become American president and 2 days later get a Nobel Prize if you're called Barack Obama.
Yes. And even if you are the president who started more wars than any US president.
Yeah, that's why they gave it him before he started, so that he couldn't have started any wars.
Yeah, he couldn't. He wouldn't be eligible for if it wouldn't have been given before.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it would be the Nobel Pieces Prize, as it blew lots of people into pieces. That is true, Renovatio. Absolutely true. Women are the best at making shit up.
That should be a Nobel Prize for fantasy, I think. No, there shouldn't. After that, they would nominate Star Trek Discovery. Ugh.
Well, I say there's one for literature, so you know. And after all, these things are hardly decided on a clear and obvious basis, other than they just get together in a room and decide.
Well, it's the same for the Oscars and the Golden Globes.
Well, exactly, that's my point. And then they whinge on endlessly how their peers are ignoring them, as if that's the public's fault. America's so racist, there's no black people nominated. No, 99.999% of Americans don't get a say, so they can't be accused of something they have no part in.
The risk of an echo chamber.
Well, there is that.
No, I mean, it comes back to the left-hand meme. They're thick as shit and should not be allowed to do these logical fallacies.
But didn't you know, logic is sexist, it's patriarchal, it's oppressing false narratives.
Yeah, funny how that's the case, and yet they then endlessly attempt logical arguments. Same with facts. Oh, facts are patriarchal and sexist, except when we use them. See the various points on hypocrisy in my list.
Yeah.
Not really. The facts the feminists are using aren't really facts, because if you look at them logically, you can negate them anytime you want.
If you look at them factually even. Yes, I know. This is true.
That too.
This is true. But we do know how they like to create new meanings for words. They like to take a word like fact and transpose onto it its antithesis, which is fiction, and say fiction is now fact and fact is now hate.
Well, yeah, they already do that by claiming that they have proof on how the human brain is both a male and female at the same time.
Oh, well, you see, here's the best part of any ideology. It will simultaneously contain enough contradictory facts that they can pick one of those facts to make the case for anything they want to argue. So, sexuality is innate, but it's also a choice.
Yeah.
And it's also socially constructed, which isn't choice. Even though those three things contradict each other.
But this is also why they have so much problems with TERFs at the moment. Because TERFs recognize that, listen, if men can be women, then there is no reason to claim that you're in it for the women, because everyone can be a woman just as long as he feels like it. Yeah. But intersectionals have a problem with the TERFs because, no, you have to go intersectional, because otherwise the rest of the lies won't hold.
Well, and the whole transgender narrative is homophobic. So, you know, as they pursue it, you know, I'm not saying transsexual people are homophobic. I'm saying the whole woke left trans narrative is homophobic.
Yeah, but the whole intersexuality is the best proof that feminism is wrong about patriarchy and oppression.
No.
Listen to the end of me, you'll understand. Please remind foreign language. It might take a time. Because if gender is fluid and everybody can be what he, she, it feels like, and if changing the gender is so easy to do, then how in hell can women be oppressed when every woman can identify as man and therefore having all the privileges that come being a man, while every man can be a woman and so on? They can't nail it on the gender anymore because there is no oppression. Otherwise, they could identify as man, therefore being no longer oppressed and having the same privileges, which they don't have because they don't exist.
Yes, that is a great argument, but all I was going to correct was you said why they are wrong about patriarchy. Well, I was just going to say why they're wrong about everything.
Oh,
this is going to be funny to me though, because no matter who runs against Donald Trump, he can destroy the whole identity narrative. All he has to do is say, "Oh, by the way, guys, I now identify as a woman
of color and disabled."
Elizabeth Warren identifying already as Indian, Native American woman, even though DNA tests showed otherwise. Pocahontas.
Yeah, but Pocahontas actually claims to be. She doesn't identify. She claims to be.
Well, no, but I think that identification.
She started identifying.
Yeah, I think identifying and being are the same thing now, aren't they? That's the whole point. You are a woman, even if you got male DNA, if you think you're a woman or claim to think you're a woman. Therefore, actually being has no longer any significance. It's purely what you declare. And so she is a Native American, apparently.
Well, she identifies as one.
Yeah, exactly. She identifies as one. And therefore, she is one.
Yeah.
So
I don't really like the way that they've brought identity politics in there, but
they bring identity politics into everything. This is the whole point. This is why feminism is so cancerous.
I'm a woman, and I'm a woman of color. Boom! All things nicked.
You see, this is the thing.
I'm still waiting for the disabled woman. And so we need a new candidate from the DNC.
No. Trump is a black, lesbian, disabled woman.
Yeah, that's what he said.
Yeah. I said that earlier, that he was disabled. But But okay, so. Shit, that's annoying because I had a great thought. Because
Which one?
No, I had a thought and it's gone. But yes, okay. So there's arguments as to what influences what between feminism and Marxism. Okay. Marxism was class politics, but said nothing about identity. Absolutely nothing, just class. Anybody. And it wasn't about sex, it was purely class, right? It took feminism to make it all about these different identities. About what you were born, your intrinsic characteristics, because you can change your social class. My father was born in the working class and became middle class through hard work and exploiting his work. I mean, earning lots of money. The point being is that class is not immutable.
Mm-hmm.
Only feminists made it all about characteristics which are immutable.
Oh, sorry.
And that's why it's the feminism who are responsible for all identity politics, not the Marxists, because the Marxists said workers of the world, and the world being everybody of every race. Okay, I know people like Trotsky and Lenin were a tad racist, but they were Russians and Bolsheviks. So, well, Trotsky was a Menshevik, but anyway.
Sorry, yawning.
Can I just answer ludicrous? Greta Thunberg might identify as a woman, but she will not be identified as a woman. When you've got the mental age of 5, you've got the mental age of 5, and that's that.
Now that's unfair. She doesn't have the mental age of 5.
Okay, come on, punchline.
3.
3, yes. Yes, I knew it was going to be lower.
And that's rounding up. I mean,
yeah, that's unfair. I have seen 3 and 5-year-old children who are way more intelligent and than her. Okay,
I'm not talking about intelligence.
No,
just, I mean it's all
emotion and yeah.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Sorry.
Of her is definitely.
I didn't want to mention the people of the Holy Land, Richard Baer. I'm in enough trouble taking this huge shot directly at feminism with feminism in the title of the stream. I don't want to start getting into ethnic issues which don't concern me. I am not interested in ethnic issues. I'll leave that for the racists of the left.
I'm just going around stealing everyone's childhood. John's next.
You can have mine for free.
Yeah, you're welcome to mine too. It was horrible.
Well,
I mean, it was a luxurious one, but it was horrible to live. So, you know, it's like...
Yeah, and I grew up in a very poor area. Our school didn't have a punching ball, so they chose me to practice.
Well, I never went to a school with a punching ball.
What, did you both go to the same school?
Hardly. But no, I don't think they had punching balls in British schools. Maybe in some of the posh ones where they still did boxing, but they didn't do boxing in the schools I went to.
Well, who needs a punching ball when you have Boxing Day every year?
Ah, yes. But you can always wear some boxer shorts if you want to do those sorts of linguistic puns.
No need to see that.
No, I certainly agree. There's no need to see that. Doesn't make it untrue, though. So, who is in favour of Chinese-style re-education camps for feminists? Apart from me, because I am. I'm highly in favour. I think the Chinese the darlings of the left set the way for how the left should be treated. I think that's only fair. They're so in favour of China, they should be treated like the Chinese treat malcontent group. I mean, problematic groups.
Can't we have a camp like the Vietnamese prisoners of war style?
No, you don't.
For feminists?
No, I don't think so. I think the
mean,
Chinese re-education is much kinder, and they're not prisoners and they're not of war. They're being sent there for their own good and the good of society, obviously the greater good, as I firmly believe in the greater good. I don't, but they do. And so we should send them all to be re-educated. And from the Dark Conservatarian's recent video, that means listening to heavy metal.
But what if they like that? They never be re-educated.
No. You see, this is the best part, right? Okay, so if to like heavy rock is white supremacist,
you can always play Swiss folk.
No. Is white supremacist. I said style, Richard. I didn't say send them to China, but I would. But well, the Chinese have a women problem, right? And we've got a woman problem. We can give them our women to solve their women problem. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, that's assuming that they want them.
No, they don't.
They already have a women problem. They don't want ours too.
No. But it's a different sort.
Of them.
Yeah. So, okay. So, liking heavy rock is white supremacist.
No, don't fly over it. I'm 100% sure that if we could give China all of the feminists, they would still deny them entry and rather have too few women than to have too many of those women.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, and they would also answer military, like you know.
See, I told you the Chinese, they're woke. They are. You know, they know how to deal with these things. Anyway, well, I was talking about white supremacist heavy rock music, right? So, and you said, because you said, what if they listened to heavy rock and they liked it? And I'm going to demonstrate why I think an interesting, to me, issue with this, right? So, there was this article, Calgary police in Canada declared that liking heavy rock music was a possible sign of being a white supremacist, an alt-right. Fascist.
What?
Oh, yeah. Okay, so here's my thought. If, as a white man, I like white heavy rock music, that's white supremacist. But if I like black music, that's cultural appropriation. Is it not?
Not many options left.
No, but you see, you with me. You see, it's like, if you take somebody else's culture, that's cultural appropriation. That's bad. But if you create your own, apparently, that's bad.
Listen, it's quite.
I'd rather be, you know.
No, you're missing a very obvious point, because there's two options. You recognize people for their skin color, which means you see color. Which means you're racist, or beyond, which means you don't see color.
That's racist. No, seeing color is not racist.
No, seeing color is racist too.
No, it's not. No, it's not. You see, this is where you're misunderstanding the message. Not seeing color is racist.
Yeah.
Seeing color is a necessary precursor to groveling and begging forgiveness for your sin of being born white.
The fact that you see color means you're a racist.
No, it doesn't. I'm sorry. I have to disagree with you on that one. It is quite clear. They would not have quarters on why white color blindness is racist.
paying attention to the time is already racist. So what do you mean they don't have cause? Come on.
Courses, I said. Courses. They have courses telling us how being colourblind is racist. And I say, it's not colourblind, it's colour indifferent. I see it, I just don't care. See, these are the tricks. They say, oh, what do you mean you don't see colour? It's obvious. And it's like, yes, I do see it. I just don't care. So I'm not colourblind, I'm colour indifferent.
Colour don't care.
Indifferent, that's the word. Colour indifferent. Anyway, so the point being is that all the woke people, and I first encountered this again in the early 1980s, this hipster twat, and yes, there were hipsters back then, was telling me how superior reggae was to Black Sabbath because the lyrics were so profound. And I said, oh, you mean like, you know, the anti-capitalist, anti-warmongering song like War Pigs? And he goes, yeah, but the black people do it better. They've always been like this. And so the woke will always be culturally appropriating black stuff. And I'd rather not do that. See, I'm sensitive. I'm culturally sensitive. I'd rather not culturally appropriate. I'll have our own shit. And if they somehow think that a bunch of long-haired people are the same as skinheads, I suggest they're the ones with the optical problem, not us.
Well,
no, it's true. During punk, there was a skinhead problem. There were actual racist groups in Britain. The National Front was a thing, and there were groups of skinheads who were openly racist, right? They were skinheads, and they used to bother the fuck out of punk concerts. Sham 69 in particular, they used to go in, have fights, cause all kinds of mayhem. They weren't liked, and punks hated skinheads. I never, ever even heard of a skinhead at a metal concert. Ever.
No, well, that's not true. Yeah, no, it happened. But they weren't...
No, in Britain it didn't happen. This is my point. In Britain it didn't happen. You might be talking later in foreign climes, but in Britain in the 1970s, when skinheads were a major problem for punk, they were never at metal concerts.
The funny thing, the biggest funny thing about it, skinheads used to start as a black subculture.
Yeah, right. Ska.
Yeah,
it did. I know, it's brilliant. Started in the 60s as a as you say, as a black subculture.
So yeah, that was fun.
But yeah, so I think it's and it's just honestly just so amusing to me the constant pathetic attempts to paint likers of rock music in a bad light, and the reason is because likers of rock music don't give a shit and so cannot be controlled, especially cannot be controlled by shaming language.
Well, that's so funny because after Gamergate, they tried the same in the metal scene and in comic scenes. But in the comic scene, they were absolutely successful. Look at the state of comic books nowadays. But in the metal scene, nobody gave a fuck. They simply ignored it all.
Yeah, because they don't give a fuck. I mean, as I added in a comment on Dark Conservatarian's video, metal people are probably white supremacists because the progenitor of the guitar style was Jimi Hendrix, and we all know what a white supremacist love figure he was.
Oh yeah, the whitest of white men.
Yeah. Yeah, so obviously with such beginnings, before heavy rock even really got started, he was one of the very first to do that sort of thing. And obviously, as such a foundational and loved figure, you know, so it's Jimi Hendrix's fault. That's why we're all white supremacists, because we cannot possibly like black people. And Phil Lynott, I know, but he was Irish, so he cannot have been black. Just absolutely impossible. He just had a very deep, permanent suntan.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, obviously. And, you know, have you seen those black guys? I occasionally get recommendations from them, and they watch metal, and then they record themselves reacting to it. And they always love it, right? So it's not, oh, this is terrible. It's like, oh, wow, that's fantastic. And obviously they're white supremacists.
Well,
goes without saying.
Must be.
Yeah.
Well, it's not as if anyone can prove them wrong.
They can, that's the point. It's like saying, oh, metal's so homophobic because we didn't have a gay lead singer of a metal band since the mid-1970s. That would never have happened.
Well, but yeah, it's kind of funny though. I mean, you can't prove them wrong. It's their religion, and
no, but this is the fucking police. It's not SJWs. It's the police putting out an official statement saying how to check if your child is being radicalized to the far right. They listen to heavy metal or heavy rock music. Yeah, because no child has ever done that in the history of forever.
Yeah, well.
Well, in Germany, they go even further. If a girl has braided hair, it's considered that her parents are Nazis because braided hair is traditional.
Yeah.
Even if the braids are, what do they call, dreadlocks?
Yeah.
Well, it is cultural appropriation, according to some retards in America who know nothing of history.
Yeah, the so-called Amadeo Foundation in Germany too. Yeah.
No, but not even ancient history, Modway. I mean, people were having dreadlocks in their hair back in the 70s. It was a common thing, especially amongst hippie sorts. Probably because it saved washing it.
Yeah, because of them being lazy.
No, yeah, maybe, but they had dreadlocks. It wasn't just it did that, they did it. You know, right? Okay. So the tradition of white people doing dreadlocks, and then 30, 40 years later, some black people in America say, but this is our tradition. Well, maybe it was. And it was their tradition. You know, it is possible to have two things at the same time. It's just that when the people in Britain were doing it, because reggae was massive in the UK in the 1970s, and people like Bob Marley and Peter Tosh and all those, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yes, they were copying Caribbean culture. Wow, whoopee-doo! How awful! All these immigrants come to Britain and we copy them! How hateful of us!
Yeah. But yeah, what do you call it? If it weren't for double standards, they have no standards at all. So yeah, there is that.
I think it's because they don't own mirrors. So instead of seeing themselves, they have to project. So we should just buy them all a mirror and say, look, if you want to see the bigot, look in this. If you want to see the hater, look in this. If you want to see the moron, look in this.
Well,
That's why I like to mirror people. Every time someone starts speaking up against me, I answer in the same way. Let's make them so crazy, so wild. And I say, hey, I just answered in the same manner. Then they change the tone and I become normal again.
Yeah.
Then they are so pissed off, I tell you. You can't make people angrier like that.
Oh, yeah. I think triggering a feminist must be one of life's easier tasks.
It is easy, but it's also fun.
Oh, of course. I'm not denying the fun. Thus, the theme of tonight's stream is, let's trigger some feminists.
yeah.
You sound convinced.
Well, Modwig sees the world differently from me. He's an optimist who never sees any chance of change. It's weird.
We're not going to.
Of course, we're not going to change them. We're having fun pretending and suggesting stupid things for them to change. We are not seriously proposing anything.
So changing the hair color wasn't meant to be a thing then?
What?
Changing the hair color for feminists.
Sounds like
I don't think. Well, I mean, you can suggest that as a way to improve feminism, but I honestly don't care. I think paper bags would be an improvement, but different hair color or hair at all, for that matter.
Yeah, they should change it to bald heads.
No.
Saving them the hassle
Every time you see a bald-headed feminist, she is a certified loon.
most likely, yes.
Well, I'm saying, in my experience, every time I've seen a bald-headed feminist, she's a certified loon.
True that, but it would also fit to the fascist way of life they adapted.
Yeah.
And
I know, but we're
heads
talking
are
about
tiny.
making it better. So they need to grow their hair, apply a degree of sartorial elegance, says me, Mr. Pot, calling the kettle black, because I'm not one for the sartorial elegance. But, not being a fish mouth miserable cunt all the time would be a big improvement.
Yeah, but I mean, that wouldn't be an improvement,
wouldn't it?
Because now because now we can easily identify them.
No. Because smiling is known to have positive effects on the spirits and the attitude, and the outlook of life.
Yes.
But isn't that patriarchal?
Well,
smiling is patriarchal.
As I reject the very concept of patriarchy, the way they describe it, I don't care.
So you reject smiling too?
No, I said I reject the idea of things being patriarchy as a significant descriptor.
No, you said you reject patriarchy.
I said as they describe it. Their concept of patriarchy is something I reject. I don't believe it exists. The concept I reject. I don't mean any action. I think that people can smile, even feminists, and it might make them happy. And when they get happy, they might stop being feminists. Or at least such a miserable.
Yeah, but if feminists start smiling, I just had to imagine big red starting to smile. It would scare the shit out of me, frankly.
Well, it depends on the smile, to be fair. You've got the
Adam style.
You've got the yes, that's a nice smile. And you've got the smile.
Just remember, John, the people can't see your face when smiling.
I know, that was just for you.
Oh, thanks.
Sticks and stones may break my bone, but that's Always something that offends a feminist.
Oh, absolutely. And what's the best thing is everything is racist. Everything is sexist. Because a feminist's prime job is to figure out how the most benign, positive thing is oppressing women. I mean, okay, here's an example, right? So way back in the 80s, it was a complaint of feminists that more money was spent on the medical research for men's complaints than women's. Okay?
Okay.
Sometime in the early 2000s, I read an article complaining that more money was spent on women's complaints than men's because that made her worry about her health as a woman. It's literally, you just take a fact and they work out how it's bad.
Good bad news. I should have time tomorrow to make a vid. Oh, that's nice, Ludicrous.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it, mate.
Yeah, we haven't had equality striking for a little while.
Yeah, there have been enough news about that.
Well, we have had some glorious instances, like Jess Phillips realizing she had massively overestimated her popularity in her political party, because even being a disgusting feminist bigot wasn't enough to override the fact that she's just an awful human being.
Who'd guess that?
And Sargon was saying, oh, I don't think she's that bad. And I'm like, you twat, she's awful. She's a vile person.
He was just being polite.
I don't care. Fuck politeness.
This coming from a British...
No. I'm from Yorkshire, where we call a spade a spade. And as far as I'm concerned, being in the south of England is a foreign country.
Yeah.
We lost a viewer. I don't know who. Okay, so no one else wants to find some fun things for feminists to change what they do, such as see, I advocate for all women to be as constrained in their clothing as men are at work. So to come up with a female equivalent of the suit and tie that every woman has to conform to in many jobs. Because that's equality. That's equality. Being as constrained as men. Because there's a reason. Men are constrained in what they wear, is to reduce friction.
Well,
it serves a social purpose, right?
Mm-hmm.
And therefore, if women want to compete equally, they have to understand that and buy into it. And not wear... I mean, I watched Question Time, right? That one with Lawrence Fox. There's a Conservative minister wearing a blue leather jacket because she's a woman. It's insane. You're just wearing...
a vegan?
No, she's a Conservative. But the point is, as a woman, the men wear suits and ties and white shirts. She's wearing a blue leather jacket, a biker jacket. It's insane. It's like the difference in dress standard is so wide. And then they say, oh, but we want equality. No, they fucking don't.
Yeah, and if they want to have equality, they have to rename all the jobs. They renamed firefighters, policemen, and so on, but they left one job out where they never ask for a quota, and that's the garbage man.
Yeah, but
Are the men to
they
change it too?
also didn't change nursing, which has all kinds of, not just it has roles like sister and matron that are female named. No, they're utter hypocrites. It's like, we want everything men have got, but we want all our stuff for ourselves. We want men to be willing to stay at home, but then we'll treat them like cocks, we'll cheat on them, and we'll moan how there are enough high-paid men for us to get off with.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I heard that, ludicrous, but that's not the point. That's not the point. The point is I'm talking about every workplace, not just the House of Commons. In every workplace, I have been in places where you have to wear a collar and tie as a man, and as a woman, you can turn up in any shit, and it's not comparable. And if they want equality, they have to do it properly. And you say, "Oh, well, that's just how you wear." Yeah, but it's important.
Yeah,
it
but
goes to mindset.
But John, always keep in mind, if if women would have to wear the same as men, like suit and tie.
No, I didn't say the same.
No, not the same. I mean something similar. But then in summer, what is it called in English again?
Air conditioning.
Air condition. Thanks. Yeah, the air condition wouldn't be sexist anymore because then women would be hot too. Because men need to sit on the AC because they have to wear suit and tie in summer, which is hot. But then they would lose one of their most valid arguments.
Most valid. Yes, exactly.
Valid in quorum quotes, okay?
Yes, exactly. The most valid argument. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean, exactly. No, I mean, the point is, ignoring Jordan Peterson's point about makeup, which is valid, right? I mean, can you imagine if men suddenly went back to the 16th and 17th centuries, started to wear cod pieces?
Aren't they already with those intersectional guys there?
I haven't seen them with cod pieces.
Reality has overtaken you, John.
I haven't seen them with cod pieces.
Well, lucky you. It's ridiculous, I tell you.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll take your word for it. But no, I've never seen modern men, outside Shakespeare plays, in cod pieces.
You mean real men?
No, I mean people alive today. Whether genetically male or pretending. I am just saying, I have seen no modern person out and about with a codpiece.
Well, I have, and I wish I wouldn't.
Switzerland is a funny place, that's all I'm saying.
It was in Germany, though.
Okay, Germany is an even stranger place. That is no accounting for that. So maybe the French were right with the Maginot Line. They just should have finished it. And all the way around Germany. No? Too soon?
Too soon. I don't know.
I mean, 81 years, I could see that's too soon. Well, I suppose technically 80. I don't know when the German invasion of France was, but I think it was sometime in early 1940s. Yes, not quite 80 years.
Wasn't it 13 and in 14 the battle at sea started?
What?
Oh no, the battle at sea ended before the First World. Well, forget it.
I have no idea what you're talking about. I was talking about the Second World War and the Maginot Line, which the French built to fight the First World War when the Germans were fighting the Second World War.
I'm sorry, you have to repeat that sentence.
Yeah, the Maginot Line was the French's attempt to fight the First World War at a time when the Germans had already decided how to fight the Second World War.
Yeah. That's kind of funny because everyone seems to think that the French tanks were useless. But the only reason why the French tanks were useless was because the French army had spread them all over the place.
Yeah.
The French tanks were actually better than the German tanks at the time. But
Well,
Yeah, the
the
French
thing
also
was,
didn't have any communication.
they
They didn't have radio. They still had phone lines and needed to phone in and couriers and so on. And every time they had the news, go there to fight the Germans there, the Germans had already left because they were using radio, which was much faster than phone.
Yeah. But here's the thing. So the French lost to Prussia in 1870 because the Prussians invaded by railway. In 1940, it was because the French were convinced that the Germans could not navigate the Ardennes.
And they walked through it.
And they just drove through it. They just got some decent maps, said, there's a track, this is a tank. Track's not going to stop a tank.
Yeah, that was fun. But one-on-one, the
Yeah, but you have to be one-on-one. That's the problem.
Yeah, that was the problem.
And the Germans had the Stuka, to be fair.
I don't think it had that much of an impact, to be honest.
Oh, it was... I mean, come on! They made funny noises through loudspeakers just to scare people.
True, which is a great tactic. I mean, there have been soldiers in the past that have done that. Hell, but...
Yeah, going rat-a-tat-tat-tat doesn't kill people.
True. But that's the funny thing about war. It's not to kill the enemy, it's to demoralize it.
I'm taking the piss. Trust me, I'm taking the piss.
Okay.
It's a Saturday stream. It's supposed to be light-hearted.
I'm sorry, I'm a little bit out of breath and tired and all that.
If you're into BDSM, I know this is late night, but crikey.
No, Lab-Written, it's time to get some lederhosen, and I said it's cultural appropriation. He said, but worth it, and well, if you're into BDSM,
Well,
get some lederhosen.
technically, is it?
You.
Because he's Irish and his partner's Polish. And between
Right,
Ireland,
that's right.
between Ireland and Poland is Germany. So it cannot possibly.
How is Germany between Ireland and Poland?
Draw a line. You're across Germany.
Aren't you going over the water?
I don't care. In between where Ireland is and Poland is Germany.
And France and United
And France and Netherlands. That's not my point. My point is that Germany is one of the things between Poland and Ireland, and therefore it cannot be cultural appropriation, according to logic every bit as good as the feminist cultural appropriation logic.
Right. Well,
it's silly. That's the point.
I wouldn't even call that one silly. That's just...
I would find some other words.
Oh, I can't check. I can't. Yeah, I saw that one, Richard. I did. That is. I do love it when British TV makes it across the pond, because everyone spent the whole time going, "But I've never heard of them," as if we don't have the same fucking problem. People are always talking about American TV people as if we're supposed to know who the fuck they're talking about. And the minute they switch it, it's, oh, but I've never heard of this person. Then look them up.
Yeah.
I am stress testing it, Renovatio. It's a new one and I'm stress testing it. Of course.
I'm,
Of course.
I'm sorry, guys, but I have more and more problems staying awake.
And I'm
So I will-
screaming my best here.
Yes.
I am.
And it's still not enough.
And it's still not enough. I know. I'm trying, Michael. I'm trying. I'm very trying, and people tell me this all the time.
So I'm going to wish you all the best of times, but you know what? Old man's going to bed.
Yeah, good night, Modwayne.
Yes, good night. You have a good one.
I hope
Get well soon, sir.
I hope everything will be better on Wednesday, but in all fairness, considering how long has already been taken.
And just remember, folks, next Saturday is the Brexit celebration stream.
Yes. Oh, Europe will come to an end. Oh my God.
I'm pretty sure
Finally,
Europe
yes.
will exist. Even
But
the
the
EU
European Union
will still exist. But Europe, pretty sure that a continental landmass is safe from a abstract move.
No, you're wrong. Or something like that. But anyway, guys, have fun.
Yes.
And,
Good night. Good night, young man.
Good night.
See you all later. Bye-bye.
Bye. See, Michael, you get a special show. No one else gets to see this performance of mine.
Are you sure that I don't record everything?
You can record what you like. I don't care.
Okay, I need the password to upload it to the SodStream channel.
If you like. Quite how you do that when only Modwin and I have access to that channel, I don't know. But
That's why I need the password for it.
well, you see, I do not share passwords.
Too bad.
Ever.
I'll ask Modwayne.
Yeah, he'll share the password. That's why I'm here. But as far as I'm concerned, one user, one password. Never share passwords.
Never cross the streams.
Okay, so anyone else want to come on and suggest some ideas, or just type them in the chat and we can discuss them?
Well, Renovatio had a good idea. The Stuttgart, the original screaming feminist.
Yeah, that's more a statement than a suggestion, but yes.
But wouldn't that be an improvement?
Would it be an improvement? I've got to say I've never been a fan of the sound the sound in films and what do you call it? Newsreel. They used to have newsreel, didn't they, of the First World War? To be like, the plucky Britons disembarked from the beaches of Dunkirk, all the while being dive bombed by those beastly Nazis in their Stuka. And then you'd hear the siren scream of the Stuka. Those were the days they did proper media, honest. Okay, I've killed Michael. Anyone else got a death wish?
Well, I have a death wish, but I always preferred death by snoo. But that's something you can't give to me.
No, that is something I am totally ignorant on. But then, to me, death wish will forever be Charles Bronson. Are you too young? Are you too young for that cultural reference?
Renovatio, who do you mean by them? The feminists?
Yeah, no. That's why we're going to send them to China, Renovatio. Don't even have to fire them.
But
just
they will
give
make
them
cheap
away.
copies of them and send them back.
Yeah, but they might fix some of the faults.
I told you the Chinese will retaliate.
Well, they already are. I mean, the Chinese cultural and industrial and what they call it, industrial espionage is already pretty intense, I suspect. So I don't think we need worry about retaliation.
But if we sent the feminists there, we would have to worry.
No, I mean, it would piss the Chinese off, and hopefully they would self-destruct. Because
Feminists will never self-destruct their head. They don't
no,
have
no, no,
mechanism
the
for that.
Chinese would self-destruct from being
No, they will
so
send the feminists
angered,
back after copying them.
so angered by the feminists.
They won't let the feminists in to anger them.
What was my take on it? I can't remember that. I watched so many. It's all glorious, Richard. It's all glorious. I mean, yeah, I think if I was still on Twitter, it would definitely be in my bio. Would never date a feminist. No, technically that's again because my first ever girlfriend was a feminist. But she cured me. Renovatio, don't you dare. I am personally responsible, and I'm not allowed to say this, but I'm personally responsible for helping the Eurofighter fly. And therefore, you will not
That's why it
wreck.
stays on the ground.
You will not wreck. No, you will not wreck my hard work by attaching feminists. Because we know feminists destroy everything they come into contact with. It's a scientific fact. It's been proven by feminist
Yeah, but
research.
the Eurofighter is damaged by concept. The Eurofighter is an over-engineered piece of crap.
So it actually can fly. They fly all the
So-
time, Michael.
No, not in Germany, not in Austria, not in Italy, not in Spain.
Well, ours do. The Saudis do.
Yeah, but they use the British versions.
It's an international joint effort, so technically there shouldn't be different versions.
But there are, because the British Royal Air Force took every German, what is it called?
They took all the gizmos out. And
all the
so they
German
went
gizmos
across and
out
said,
and replaced
let's
with
just
British
check them.
ones.
Let's just check them. And then they took all the things that, like, you know, you see on those films where some of them takes a bit out of the engine. This is how
they replaced
mechanically
the
illiterate
parts.
I am.
Hold on. John, the British replaced the avionics of the made by the Germans, replaced them with their own. That's why the British can fly the Eurofighter, while the Germans can't, because the German
I
systems
can't
don't work.
believe you are now telling me that German engineering failed and British engineering worked. That destroys every stereotype of the last 70 years.
Yes, it's a hard thing, but it actually works. That's why Airbus ordered the Brits to send 2 Eurofighters to Switzerland for the evaluation of the new fighter jet from 2030, because the Germans didn't have a Eurofighter ready to fly to send over to Switzerland, because those who fly, I believe 5 planes, the Germans needed them for their own. The Austrians gotten the Eurofighter from Germans, the first batch, I believe. They can't fly those fuckers. They stay on the ground. They can't get them ready to fly. The Italians are using the German systems. They have nothing but issues with the Eurofighter. The Saudis ordered the Eurofighter with the British systems. They fly. But it's no longer a Eurofighter, it's a British fighter.
Well, we call ours...
Every essential system has been replaced.
We call ours the Typhoon, which was a famous fighter from the Second World War, and that triggered the fuck out of the Germans as calling it the Typhoon.
Yeah, but they had to rename it because it didn't have actually anything to do with the Eurofighter except the other body.
No, that's what I'm saying. We call it the Typhoon, right? We said, oh no, it's not. It's a Eurofighter in development, and when it's in service, it's the Typhoon, and that triggered the fuck out of the Germans.
Yeah, because they were always afraid of British airplanes, and with all the avionics from the Britain, yeah.
Well, I think it was more the fact that it was a Second World War aircraft that we named it after.
Well, yeah. If it boils down to the fighter, I prefer the French Rafale over the Eurofighter anyway.
Well, the Eurofighter has some unique advantages. It is more maneuverable than any other aeroplane.
Yeah, but it's also heavy as fuck, meaning every time you start maneuvering fast, the body gets damaged and needs to be replaced and repaired, while for example, the Rafale is lighter and doesn't get damaged when flying hard maneuvers. Also, the Eurofighter flies, flies unstable, which means it needs the computer to fly straight, while the Rafale
No, it needs the
flies
computer
stable.
to fly at all.
Well, that too, yeah. But the Rafale
Seriously,
flies.
a Eurofighter would disintegrate in under a second without the computer.
Yes, that's why everybody replaced the computer with a British one. But no, the point is the unstable maneuvers, meaning a Rafale can fly and land without computers, but it can still maneuver as fast and as hard as the Eurofighter. It's just a bit slower and smaller because the French needed the Rafale to land on an aircraft carrier.
Well, yes, the Eurofighter is not aircraft carrier friendly. Let's put it like that.
That's not even airport friendly. They needed a fucking brake chute to stop on one of the largest runways in Switzerland, and they still want to sell us that big bird.
Of course, people want to sell you what they've got to sell, and they've usually got to sell what they don't want themselves.
Yes, and they impose already sanctions on Switzerland, so we buy from the Germans. Well, Renovatio von der Leyen did everything that was told to her. She even deleted her cell phone, otherwise they would have found out about the corruption she has caused in the German government.
Well, they should have asked the Americans. They always know what the German government are up to.
Well, yeah, but you know, they don't spy on France. Well, they do, but
they spy on everybody.
They would negate, yes, but they would negate Merkel, who said they are not, that the US doesn't spy on France, and the Germans think of them friends of the United States, and you can't negate Merkel.
You can, please, for the love of God.
You shouldn't.
I'm an atheist, and for the love of God, negate Merkel. She's a fucking starty plant. I'm just saying, she's an East German from East Germany.
Also, von der Leyen also listed the Gorch Fock as operational. That's the training ship of the German Marine Forces and the Naval Forces, I'm sorry. And that ship can't touch water without sinking. Not kidding. They have it in the dry dock because the company that should have repaired it made so many holes into the wooden body of the ship.
I mean,
it's leaking water as
wooden
soon as
body.
it touches it.
Wooden body. I mean, you do know that we went from wood to metal for a reason.
But tell it to the Germans. It's the Gorchfock is a traditional old ship. That's why it's made out of wood. They train like old sailors.
In the Second World War,
the
German pocket battleships were just so much better than the British ships, right? That's why the Bismarck sank HMS Hood with like one salvo. And the designers... But also
remind that the Bismarck has been sank by one swordfish.
And, yeah, but that's a torpedo. Come on. But...
A torpedo bomber.
But...
From First World
War.
The
designers of the German fleet back in those days would be rotating in their graves over the modern German Navy, from what you're saying. That's not my point. That was what I was trying to get to. Is the Germans used to do good ships, the best ships, and now they do.
Yeah, but the Gorch-Fock isn't a new ship. It is an old ship. It's a traditional ship for traditional sailors.
Then what the fuck's it in the Navy for? And have they not heard of? And have they not heard of copper bottoming?
Well, made in Germany was always made to be a warning instead of a sign of quality, you know. And let's wish the MI5 good luck in that search.
No. They're in a jar by Megan's bed. And when I say Megan's bed, I mean Megan's bed as opposed to. Oh, it'll be something different, Richard. It won't be crashing under exceedingly peculiar circumstances in a French underpass tunnel. It'll be somehow strangely getting caught up in the middle of gangland violence in some US city.
Or may I suggest a bridge built by feminists, and she's standing on that bridge proudly when it comes down.
Oh, no, crossing it in a motorcade.
No, we had it already in Florida. I'm sorry.
No, I think the fact that they've gone to North America where you have the guns is the way to go on that one.
Yeah, but gun violence is so old school, man.
No, but it's a very, very convenient excuse because every time, no matter how black or how left-wing, a gunman or gunwoman, it is always a white male, white supremacist. Therefore, the narrative that Megan is being bullied by racist sexists can be fully cemented by her being killed by that black female white supremacist male. Because after all, just because she's black and female doesn't mean she doesn't identify as white and male.
She doesn't identify as white and male?
No, I'm saying you can find a killer, and even if that killer is black and female, she can identify as being white and male, and therefore it will be a white male who killed her. That's what I'm saying. It's like this is the beauty of the feminist perspective on identity. Everything bad is done by white men. Therefore, anyone who does something bad is a white man. This is logic, apparently. You see? Simple. Yes? No?
You have a twisted way of thinking, sir.
No, I am merely explaining feminist thought processes. I mean, it's like the Virginia gun rally was white supremacists, especially the black ones, who even had joke signs saying, "I'm a white supremacist."
I haven't seen that.
Yeah, there'll be some videos, and they just show some a whole bunch of people who were like gay people and LGBT and Antifa and the Black Panthers, and there was this one black guy, and he had a little sign saying something about how's this for white supremacy or something, and he was just taking the piss,
Okay, I have to search that.
Because
And now we have silence.
we do. Okay, so how else do we make feminism great? Well, they say men are from Mars and women are from Venus. So I think we stop the project.
Cannot be true.
No, I say we stop the project to send a man to Mars and change it to a project to send feminist women to Venus. Especially as Venus is so hot and so toxic, they would die instantly.
Yeah, and don't forget, if women are from Venus, why can't they endure any pressure?
Yeah.
But it would explain why they are cold all the time. They're not used to
and
moderate
toxic.
temperatures
And
like on
toxic.
Earth.
And toxic.
But the atmosphere is toxic. Doesn't mean life forms on Venus must be toxic.
Oh, I think being in a toxic atmosphere all the time will affect the personality. I think that's fairly predictable.
Well, yeah. Let's send AOC there. Let her report.
Oh, feminists! I am one for increasing female representation in space missions to Venus. Well, infinitely, because there's none now, and all of them.
But we need to take care of one very peculiar point.
Okay.
The spacesuits must look differently, otherwise if
Oh, they
two
must
or
be
more
tailored
people
for
are there
women.
and they were all the same, they never get out of the spacecraft because they can't agree on the... Well,
No. Feminists could overcome that, but they must be tailored for women because they already complain when women have to wear the standard spacesuit designed for a man. So we must.
Yeah, but that problem was because the one female astronaut said she has this size and only this size, even though the technician said, no, you should wear this one in space because when you're not on Earth's gravity, you will, what is it called?
Expand.
Yeah, thanks. And she didn't listen because she always had that size and that's why she couldn't go into space.
Well, didn't listen. That sounds familiar. And to be fair, all the female spacesuits for feminists should be essentially spherical.
What is?
What, spherical, like a globe, round?
No, not what is this, but why this?
Because that's the shape of feminists. Land whales, round.
Oh, yeah. I was thinking about having the atmosphere of Venus in the spacesuits, but no, I guess that
No. Why ruin the surprise?
True that.
I think it's a feedback loop, Richard. I think it is both. I think the atmosphere creates the personality, and the personality creates the atmosphere. Both things are neither nature nor nurture. They are a feedback loop of one into the other. And as life persists, there is no start nor an end. That is merely how it is now based on what it was before and as it is developing into the future. And so, yes, I think it is definitely a feedback loop. This is why the feminists are so keen on all their education and stuff, because they have to ensure the correct, ideological indoctrination of all their useful idiots. I mean, feminists.
When we are at the topic of start and ending things, shouldn't we, to make feminists great again, define what's been first, the egg or the feminist?
Okay. Explain, please.
Well, what has been first, a feminist or the egg?
The egg.
As in the, yeah. Oh, well, everything started with one.
Well, we all come from an egg, inseminated by a sperm.
Well, true that, but what's been first, the feminists?
Well, there were eggs before there were human beings. I think we can be pretty
But the egg
confident.
the egg is a sign of femininity.
Is the egg a sign of femininity? I thought it was the fist. The fist of soft, gentle...
Fist has no part in reproduction, so...
Not according to the videos I've seen.
Whatever does it for you.
That's a joke. I haven't seen those videos, but I've heard of them. The point is,
Yeah. We believe that. Yes. So
you can believe what you like. It doesn't really matter. The point is that we know the feminist symbol. It is that peaceful, loving, tolerant, soft and gentle fist. Because there's nothing as soft and as gentle as a fist.
okay.
I mean,
Then let's redefine it. What has been first, the fist or the feminist?
I think they were coexistent. A feminist with a fist. That's how you know they're a feminist. You see, this is the problem. It's like, how do you define something? You define something by what it is, but what is it? Well, we've decided that feminists are symbolized by the fist. Therefore, the fist and the feminist must be coexistent. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but it doesn't.
It's not correct, I know. It's a specious argument, but that's the whole point.
No, I wanted to say it does make sense, but it doesn't explain or answer the question.
I know that's because there isn't an answer. And therefore, not answering the question is the point. I honestly wouldn't... there is nothing in me that cares about a hypothetical question, what comes first, the fist or the feminist. I know which I'd rather end first. It's okay to keep fists long after we get rid of feminists. That is my view. The noble art of boxing can continue long after feminism should be assigned into the trash heap of history. Is that
totally
okay?
Makes sense.
Sorry?
It totally makes sense.
Yeah, that makes a lot. There are good reasons to have a fist. If we can fist bump, yay! Way to go, mate! Well done! Fist bump. Nice, friendly. Or you can have a feminist. The only good thing for feminism is to be shipped off to China. And I will insist on this. That's my view, my opinion. The only good feminist is a emigrated feminist. And as I like most countries, I would not emigrate my feminists to them. I would reserve them for problematic countries like China.
But isn't a feminist country problematic in itself?
Yeah, but China hates feminists, so that's fine.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, but because Canada is a very feminist country at the moment because of Justin Trudeau.
Yeah, so you don't want to send more.
Sorry.
You don't want to send more feminists to where there's already a lot of feminists. You want to send them where there are no feminists, and therefore China.
Yeah, but why destroy a country without feminists?
No. You see, China has its own problems, as somebody pointed out a lot earlier, and I forget who, that, China's a bit dodgy. They're not on the up and up. They don't play cricket. And so...
Neither does Switzerland, so...
Yeah, but you yodel. That's nearly the same. And you invented muesli. I mean...
A what?
Invented muesli. Sorry.
Oh, muesli!
Muesli!
You pronounce it wrong, so...
I can't help it, I'm British! We pronounce everything the British way. After all...
Which is wrong.
No. After all you buggers, and especially the Americans, mispronounce all our words. So it's the least we can do to reciprocate. And
yeah, but at least when the Americans and the Swiss pronounce something wrong, people can still find
out. No. Americans mispronounce English wrong.
Yeah, that's what I meant. We still understand each other, while when
No,
I cannot speak anymore. While you Brits mispronounce things and nobody else has a clue of what you
no,
are
no, no,
talking
no,
about.
no. You say nobody. You are massively
Yeah,
conflating
well, the
you as
Welsh
an
and the
individual
Irish,
with
yeah.
everybody else.
Yeah,
Okay.
well, just because the Irish and the Welsh understand you.
No, no, no. Because just because we had a great vowel shift, which meant that our vowels ended up totally different from most of Europe, well, just get over it, okay? Because we won. The world speaks English. We're speaking English now. Our vowels win, even if we're the minority. But I've never, ever heard a different pronunciation for muesli because I've only ever heard it in England.
Yeah, because you never listen to Swiss.
No, I've never heard a Swiss person talk about it. Why would I?
There are tons of videos about it.
And I would watch these because?
It's fun.
No. I mean, okay. I'm going to give you an example. Right. Do you know the German electronics giant, now part of Procter & Gamble, called Brown?
I wouldn't call them giants.
No, well, you know who I mean,
Yeah.
Brown, right?
Yeah.
Do you know what they're called in Britain?
No.
Brawn. And they're called Brawn by themselves. I've seen adverts on Eurosport. In English Eurosport, the advert pronounces it Brawn. And on
Yeah, but you
European
can't call it
Eurosport,
brown
it's
because it would sound
pronounced
too German.
Brown.
Yeah, but pronouncing it right in the UK would be too German for most of the older
No,
people.
because it happened with Audi. When I was small, it was Audi. And then they changed it in the 1970s to Audi. And it's exactly the same letters with the same pronunciation change.
Well, yeah, but Audi, Au in German is a sign of ouch. So it's
I'm
kind of more
just saying that
Yeah, but then again, do you
even
know?
a company mispronounces its name in Britain is my point. So,
If we have British workers,
no, just as a German company who sell in Britain, they call themselves Braun. Even though they're not called Braun, they're called Brown.
by the way, can you explain to me a thing, please? German car manufacturer, it has 4 wheels and sometimes it drives. Opel.
Yeah, you mean
drive city
part of
cars,
General
sorry.
Motors that we call Vauxhall?
Yeah, why is it called Vauxhall in Britain?
Because that was a British company. There was a British company. General Motors bought up companies, right?
Yeah.
And they bought Opel in Europe and they bought Vauxhall in Britain. So what they did is they kept the brands where the markets were.
Ah. Okay, got it. Yeah, sounds logical.
And
I always
so,
wondered why can't you call them Opel?
or
But
Vauxhall.
obviously the German acronym ohne Power ewig letzter, without power always the last, doesn't
No,
work in.
because Vauxhall was still a major brand in Britain. So they're not going to throw away the brand value.
The one thing that has value on that car.
Oh, I merely state that's why it happens.
Yeah.
Is, you know, it's
Well,
like
that's the reason, yeah.
I remember. Okay, and this is a long time ago. Obviously, we had a mark of Ford called the Cortina, but in Europe it was a Taurus.
Oh, the car, yeah, good.
Yeah, but that is all the other types of Ford. It was the same name everywhere, but for some reason it was a Cortina in Britain. Even though Cortina is a Mediterranean island, it's not like it's a British word. and it was a terrorist in Europe. These oddities happen, is my point. It's like you'd have to go and ask the senior executives at that time why they made the decision.
And on this bombshell, to quote Top Gear,
on this damp squib.
Damp squib.
Damp
What?
squib. SQUIB. It's an expression. I don't even care what it means. It just means something very disappointing and, underwhelming, perhaps.
Yeah. Okay. Smaller than a bomb used as fireworks. Yeah. Okay, got it. So, any more ideas on how to improve feminism? Make them into men's rights activists.
No. Don't want anyone inclined to feminism involved in men's rights. Because we don't want
What about
idea.
Ron Farrell?
Well, I realise that some, and I am far more equivocal on him than some, because I hear what he says and it's still, you can smell the feminism in every word he says. This is the problem. He was rejected from feminism. He didn't reject it, and this is a fundamental importance. So, for instance, I think it's Alison Tiemann will say she used to be a feminist, but she rejected feminism, right? That is a moment of awakening and comprehension. Warren Farrell never had that. All that happened was he was rejected, and it's like, why are they rejecting me? And it's like, duh, because they're raging misandrists and female supremacists. I mean, I got that out of feminism with the first bloody acquaintance with them. It's like, no, I don't think so. I would tell them to go and do something useful, but that's true of all the intellectual left. It's like, get a real job.
What can a gender study student or professor do which would be considered useful?
Fruit. Something outdoors and horticultural, I would suggest.
Like the chain gang cleaning up roads.
No. Like the Eastern European labourers, they're now whinging will not come here after Brexit and provide them with their cheap food. So you get all these migrants who come across for seasonal work and work for low pay, and then the feminists are the first to say, oh, who will pick our cheap fruit? Or serve us our coffee in our overpriced coffee shops. And it's like, you could try. At least you'd be doing something useful.
Yeah, but they wouldn't do it right.
I don't care. Seriously, don't care. I mean, they've had a lifetime of not doing anything useful. So, yes, it would take time and they'd make mistakes. They are, despite all evidence to the contrary, human, and therefore only human. No, Renovatio. No, they're not shitting in the fields. They're not shitting in the fields. I don't care. Human fertilizer isn't good.
It has pathogens in it.
Yeah.
Infected by feminists. No thanks.
No.
And you can't also dig them in. That would be considered murder, you know.
Yeah, no. I don't want any harm to come to them. That would be much less fun than making them actually do something useful. Either that or they could go to China. You see? You say, look, you can pick our fruit or our other horticultural products, or you can go to China. Choice is yours. After all, you complain of the dearth of good men.
They could also make sandwiches.
No, nothing indoors, Richard. Nothing indoors. I'm sorry. This is part of the problem.
You can serve coffee outdoor.
Yes, you could, but it would still imply a nice environment. They talk about all this. Oh, in the Second World War, men went off to fight, so women moved into their jobs, and one of those was what they called the land girls, which is the women doing the farm labour. I think that's a great idea. I think doing something practical, outdoors, and hard might take a bit of effort. They might get dirty.
But getting dirty is a male privilege.
Oh, of course, yes. And I think that's all the more reason to give it to the feminists who want all the male privilege. Well, I mostly eat bananas and they come from the tropics, so I don't care.
Well,
plums. You don't want them near your plums, that's true.
Let's send them to Australia where they can clean up the fires.
No. Sheep farming. Shearing sheep.
They will first have practice on themselves.
Yeah, that's fine.
Poor sheep. Wow.
Yeah, well, lamb chops. I do like lamb. And pork. And beef. Sorry, Michael. I'm insensitive.
Why do I have this weird image of a feminist trying to debate with a bunch of sheep to enter the kettle?
No. Cattle and sheep are not proximate.
Not the kettle. Well, what is it called? Where you put
The
them
pen?
into the pen? Thanks. Yeah. Go into there. The sheep. Bah!
No, you use dogs. That's what dogs are for. Sheep, dogs.
No, you can replace the dogs so they can retire early.
No. I don't want to put any poor dogs out of work. Especially they always seem to enjoy it. No, I think...
Yeah, but do you really want to give the feminists, shall we say, responsibility for the sheep? They need to learn that first.
No, just for the dog. The dog can be responsible for the sheep.
So the dog will command the feminists?
No, it's not how it works. The dog controls the sheep.
Yes, I know how it works. I meant to make feminists do something, within farming and so on. But you can't make a dog listen to a feminist.
The poor dog. I know it's cruel.
But the poor dog.
Yes.
That's the point.
Well, to be fair, feminists and other SJWs are the only humans who can hear dog whistles.
Yeah, that's why they should work on the same level.
Yeah, exactly. So they work with the dog. This is my point.
Not work with, but at the same level. So the
with same level, alongside, level, same.
Who's faster, dog or big red? No.
Well, I know who's scarier to the
bitches.
sheep.
Well, essentially, most feminists are bitches, so it would fit, yeah.
Cleaning sewers. Well, septic tanks in India, I think, would be a good start. But then, sorry, horrible thought. So if a feminist gets covered in shit, how do you spot where the shit ends of the feminist begins?
You can't.
You can't know. Oh dear, yes. I don't know. I do think the idea of sending them hiking through Central Asia on their own, one by one, would be a good idea. Seems to seem to like that sort of thing.
Could work.
Oh. It would be a great experiment in Darwinism.
That it would be. Would you accompany them
Hell
to make the
no.
records?
No. Got satellites for that kind of thing. Come on.
True that.
No,
True that.
no. What happens between the start and the finish, don't care. Right? Just send them off, and then the ones who make it to the finish will, well, you have to decide. They're either so evil that they've left a trail of carnage, or they've been reformed. Those are the options I see for anyone who could survive that. It's like they've either come to their senses, or they are just so bad, even the gang leaders, or what we call the gangs, avoid them. At least if they're spitting, they're not talking.
Yeah, but they do this all the time. So, what's news?
Yay! You see, people make these mistakes, right? They'll say things like, "Oh, there's all these feminists in Australia. Therefore, Australia's lost." But then you see something like this, which shows that there's a good number of Australians who are not buying a word of that shit, and that are prepared, when the moment is right, to strike back by doing something like this. Just like the Brexit thing. It's like, oh, Britain's so fallen. And then goodness knows how big a proportion of the population turn around and say, fuck you, no, go away.
And there's a life without the European Union. People just forgot about it.
No, but here's the point. The Brexit was as much a response to the fucking SJWs and their ilk as it was Europe.
Europe or the Union?
Well, the European
Union. Yeah. Well, always remind, I'm a European too, even though the Union says we don't exist.
Of course. I mean, of course they say that. I don't mean, of course you don't, because I believe I'm talking to somebody, but I could be hallucinating.
Well, you never know.
No, that's true. And people keep wanting to say we're all a computer simulation. And I think, funny how that idea only came along at the point when it was conceivable. That is, these ideas of reality are children of the technological advance. Just like the middle-aged people talking about UFO abductions was amazingly small. Probably
to
because they'd have had a poker stuffed up their rectum for the pains. Or just said, it was an angel of the Lord visited me. And then stuck an anal probe up my anal passage.
I'm not telling stories from your childhood.
Not my childhood. Mine was very humdrum.
Well, yeah.
And no, Richard, I am not advocating animal cruelty. I said I don't want any harm to come to feminists. I was quite clear. No harm to feminists.
Why not? Taking all the fun out.
No. Psychological torture is far more fun than physical harm.
But it's also harm.
Well, words aren't violence, so I don't believe you.
No, well, as my mathematics professor always taught me, it's all a question about the definition.
Yeah, of course. And that's what they're good at, so they can define it any way they want. And we need to learn to say, don't care, fuck off. Fuck off, that's the thing feminists can do. To make
No, they
feminism
can't.
better, they can fuck off.
No, they can't fuck off.
Why not?
To fuck, they would.
No, to fuck off is not to fuck.
I know, man.
Yeah.
Attempting to make a joke. There's a word to describe people like you, John, in German. It's called Spaßbremse.
Is that grammar Nazi in Germany?
Nah, it's Spaßbremse means you are no fun at all and you stop the fun when it starts.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's just that I have a different sense of humour, so the things I find funny no one else does and vice versa. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I apologise. Yes. Well.
Okay, yeah. So,
but you see, I am not convinced about the fucking thing. Okay, and I'll tell you why. Because male feminists deserve female feminists.
You just said you're not advocating animal cruelty.
Does it count
Can you be
if it's consensual?
Points, so?
Does it count if it's consensual?
It's still a cruelty, yeah. Because a male feminist will always agree to what a female feminist would say to him.
Well, there you go. So it's not cruelty.
It is cruelty because he's so scared of doing something else or saying...
Yeah, but he's scared anyway. See, this is part of the problem. They fill themselves so full of fear that technically they should always be happy because they always are so hyperbolically afraid. They should always be going, oh, I wasn't murdered today. Oh, I wasn't raped today. Oh, I wasn't mugged today.
A feminist will always be raped every day. That's what they believe. Everything is sexist, everything is harassment, everything is rape. And even not being raped is raped too because they raped them of the experience of being raped.
Well, actually, it's worse than rape because not raping them is some bigotry. Like Harvey Weinstein was accused of being rapist for only being with white women. It's like, you're racist because you didn't pick on any black women and harass them.
Seriously?
Yeah, seriously. It was pointed out he didn't pick on any black women. And that this was a reason to call him a racist.
Oh, the humanity.
I know. Only to a feminist is not being victimized proof of hatred and victimization. See, when they say everything, they mean literally everything. It's like, see, this is my conjecture, right? So women are pushing for all the top jobs and pushing to be in government. Then when they've been in government,
yes,
they are then going to complain about the labour and the ardour of being in charge, and how bad it is, and how awful, and how terrible men are to let the women or make the women be in charge. That's my prediction, that we will start hearing complaints of how terrible men are if there are too many women in charge, because it's oppressive to make women be responsible or even appear to be responsible.
But then again, are politicians responsible for anything, anytime?
Oh, no. Because they don't just want to be politicians, they also want to be the chief executives of business and military commanders and everything else. They want to be in charge. And if enough of them get to be in charge, like the all-female government in Finland, that is literally no man to blame.
True that, but my point was, has there ever been a politician that took responsibility for anything?
I'm sure there was one.
Name. Just one.
What do you mean name? I said I'm sure there's one. I didn't say I knew of one.
Name.
Oh,
one,
don't
please.
be silly. That's just silly.
I
Besides
don't
which,
know, really.
politicians have resigned.
Politician has resigned. Theodor Gutenberg in Germany.
Yeah, I'm just saying politicians have resigned, and therefore
Yeah, but
that's all
have
I'm
they
saying.
resigned to take up responsibility or to avoid being
No. They
responsible?
resign as a sign of culpability and therefore having taken responsibility. It was my fault, so I will resign. That is the political punishment. Okay, so you can kill
but it is
millions of people, and if you do, your punishment is to resign, because that's the fitting punishment for killing millions of people. Obviously, I mean, go for that.
I don't agree with that, but
no, of course I don't agree with it. I'm just saying that's the politician logic. Is the ultimate punishment for a politician is to resign. Not be fired. You see, if you're fired, you can claim wrongful dismissal, and so you're not taking responsibility. But if you resign, you're actually admitting it was your fault.
Yeah, but you avoid the real punishment, because if you would stay in the office,
that is the real punishment to a politician. That is the punishment. That's the game. That's how they play it. The reward is to be in office. The punishment is to resign. Therefore, no matter what you've done, the ultimate punishment is to resign. And yes, the emotional labour, Richard, that's exactly what I was describing. I guarantee that when enough women get into positions of leadership, they will start complaining about the emotional labour and the oppression of having to be in charge.
I would still love to see a few feminists working at garbage collection.
Yeah, no.
1 week without
No. I'm sorry. If you don't want feminists near your fruit, I don't want them near my garbage, because I want my garbage collected and put into the lorry. Okay? I do not want it spread around or just ignored.
Oh, good point.
Yes, there are many critical activities that are far too important to trust to a feminist. Well, any important critical activity too important to be left to a feminist. So
but that's the point now. I've run out of ideas how to make feminism great again.
Well, not again. Sorry, that was just my hyperbole, and why I added to the description that it was never great.
Well,
But
yes, I know, but yeah.
how to make feminism great? Well, to be fair, Mod Wayne's joke, how to make feminism great, works a lot better than great again. So how to make feminism great? Well, it already does all the time. That's the problem. But
Yeah.
I must admit that clip of Piers Morgan saying, "Oh no, you're wrong. Feminism started with Emily Pankhurst and the right for the vote." What an ignorant twat.
Even I know it started earlier.
Like 150 years.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when was the 10-year doctrine? I'll look that up. The 10 years doctrine. Here's my browser. Here we go.
Please.
Years doctrine. No, that was actually. Oh, I thought it was earlier than that.
I think Genevieve Mango said about it, about the first book mentioning feminism. What was it called again?
Feminism was coined by some guy, and we already had the Seneca Falls Conference of 1848, which is ironic, as that was the same year as the launch of the Communist Manifesto, and feminism was launching its declaration at the same time, which also goes to prove that feminism must have existed before communism, because they were having their first official conference at the time that the world was even being introduced to the concept of communism in terms of the Communist Manifesto.
Okay, I think I'm getting too tired.
Okay, here we go. In the early 19th century, Caroline Norton launched a campaign to grant women custody of their children in a divorce. Her campaign came to fruition in 1839. So she was already campaigning and therefore a feminist before that, and she achieved the Act of Parliament. But remember, women have absolutely no influence on government in 1839.
You can't say that publicly. It refutes everything feminists say today.
Of course, because they're nothing but lies.
Yeah.
There is nothing truthful in feminism or their ideology. So yes, so Piers Morgan, you ignorant moron, even if you took 1839, that's 80 years earlier than he was claiming. But no, I mean what's her name? Mary Wollstonecraft, who wrote Frankenstein. Yeah, Wollstonecraft.
Must have been many years before, because Frankenstein was already made into a film in First World War, I guess.
Oh no, her mother died in 1782. She was the wife of Shelley, the poet, because she was called Mary Shelley, was her other name. And she died in 1797, and she was an advocate of women's rights. That's in her Wikipedia entry.
Well, yeah. Piers Morgan had it wrong.
It says here, until the late 20th century, Wollstonecraft's life received more attention than her writing. Yeah, because there were no films of Frankenstein in the early 20th century. They just never happened. Fuck's sake, these ignorant people.
I wouldn't mind if they just destroy everything men did, but if they even destroy everything women did just to enforce the narrative, it's
Everything.
yeah.
Everything is negotiable in their propaganda. It even says here, Mary Wollstonecraft, remember, died 1797, is sometimes called the mother of feminism. So, Piers Morgan, some people think that feminism started at least 100 years before you do.
But they must all be alt-right, bad Nazis, Meninists, and so on because they ignored what feminists tell them.
But that is what feminists say. That's the point. That's where you hear it from. The problem is that modern feminists are ignorant to what previous feminists said. They can't even keep their lines straight for 5 seconds.
Well, yeah, that's why they are feminists.
Yeah, she wrote a book called A Vindication of the Rights of Women, which sounds like a feminist tract. And she wrote that in the 18th century. But of course, you know.
It's fields over facts.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Because, let us disregard any facts at all if it contradicts our narrative. And what is our narrative? Entirely fiction. That's what your narrative is.
To quote Jack Nicholson, you can't handle the truth.
Yeah, but he turned out to be defeated by that statement.
Yeah.
Always makes me laugh when people quote it, because it's like, yeah, you're not mirroring the point of that statement.
I know, but it's still cool.
Yeah, I know.
But yeah.
It's like,
I think I'm sorry. I'm really terribly sorry, John, but
no, we've been going for way too long, so I think.
Yeah, and I'm sorry. I'm getting tired. I can't.
I think we have two Renovatio and Richard Bear, who both deserve a medal for perseverance. Thank you both for your sticking out the long sausage. Renovatio might need that one explaining, but Richard knows exactly what I mean by the long sausage. And so thank you so much. Thank you for Michael and Modwayne. I hope he gets better soon. And our other guests in the chat. And I am a little disappointed we haven't completely fixed feminism and made it wholesome and productive. To my immense shock and surprise. And no, not at all. Okay, so yes, I'm going to end the stream now. So thank you very much for coming. Good night, everyone.
Night, everyone.